Hey YouTube, it's Snowflarky, and I'm here today to talk about Guardian Sphinx and showcase my Guardian Sphinx deck I've been playing at Casual Duel Night with my friends. A card that a lot of people may be familiar with for Guardian Sphinx is a Playground Yu-Gi-Oh staple, a powerhouse rock monster with the ability to be flip summoned and returned all monsters on the opponent's side of the field to the hand and then flip it back down to do it again on the next turn. A card that in very low power level childhood environments would be monstrous to deal with, and a card that I was a huge fan of because it was a cool effect and I really like the artwork of the Sphinx in general. So when they recently came out with more support for Guardian Sphinx in the form of Pharaonic Guardian Sphinx, I just had to give this card some love, give it an update, and I found something that I have been pretty satisfied with playing. So let's get into the deck profile. Starting with our monster lineup, I am playing 3 copies of Pharaonic Guardian Sphinx. This is the new card that just came out in Lightning Vortex. It's a bigger version of the old Guardian Sphinx, coming in at 8 stars with a 3000 defense, 2300 attack. Once per turn, you can flip this card into face down defense position, so just like the old Guardian Sphinx, except when this card is flip summoned, it shuffles all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. Now, this is a very powerful effect that can be quite a pain for the opponent to deal with. Getting a whole field shuffled into the deck is pretty punishing. So that is definitely a powerful effect when it goes off. And this card has the additional effect of if it's destroyed in its owner's control by an opponent's card, you can special summon a level 5 rock monster from your hand or deck to the field in face down defense position. That, of course, is perfect for summoning the old Guardian Sphinx, which I am playing 2 copies of. Guardian Sphinx is a 5-star monster that once per turn during your main phase, you can flip this card face down. And while this card, when this card is flip summoned, you can return all monsters your opponent controls on their side of the field to the hand. So even the older Guardian Sphinx has a form of non-targeting, non-banish removal that proves to be pretty powerful. So we don't mind having this one on board if we lose our Pharaonic Guardian Sphinx. I played 2 copies just because it's very likely I could cycle through 2 of them. I definitely want to be seeing 1. You could possibly play only 1, probably, but I'm still liking 2 for the time being. Next up, to support the Sphinxes, I am playing Prediction Princess Core. So I'm playing 3 copies of the Ritual Monster, Prediction Princess Terratray. This card is a 9-star Ritual Monster that has the effect of once per turn during either player's turn, you can either flip a monster face up or face down. I figured that effect was a natural benefit to the Guardian Sphinx because I need it to be face down at the end of my opponent's turn, or I need it to be face down before I flip summon it so I can get its effect off. So it seemed like a natural synergy to support it. And Prediction Princess Terratray also has an extra effect of during the end phase of your turn, you can special summon a flip monster from your hand or graveyard. Now, the Sphinxes are not flip monsters, but we are playing flip monsters in this deck, so you will be using that effect. The first of these flip monsters is Pot of the Forbidden. This is always a necessary card for Prediction Princesses, as it's the perfect tribute for Terratray, also being a 9-star monster, and probably the best flip monster you can get off of Terratray's effects. It has 4 powerful effects that you can choose one of when you flip it. You can either draw 2 cards, or you can return all spell and trap cards on the field to the hand. You can destroy all monsters your opponent controls, or you could look at your opponent's hand, select 1 card, and shuffle it back into the deck. All 4 very powerful effects. Whichever one you're going to use will depend on your situation. Oftentimes, the ability to flip Pot of the Forbidden on your opponent's turn and do a monster board wipe will help disrupt their board building, which gives you time to set up. And also, the other effects are always pretty useful. If nothing's going on, drawing 2 cards never hurts. If your opponent's running low on cards, you can look at their hand, shuffle a key card that denies them the ability to make a play on that turn. So, Pot of the Forbidden, definitely a good card. We want to see it. We want to be using its effect. And another flip monster that we are playing in this deck, more to support the Guardian Sphinx stuff, are 3 copies of Apprentice Piper. This is a newer flip monster that says when you flip it up, you can special summon a monster from your hand, which oftentimes you'll want to be using that to get out a Pharaonic Guardian Sphinx or a Guardian Sphinx. And then additionally, if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you could special summon a monster from your hand. So whether you get to flip it or not, you're still going to get its special summon effect to get a Guardian Sphinx or a Pharaonic Guardian Sphinx onto the field. So for that reason, I've been a big fan of this card, doing silly things with it in Prediction Princesses. Glad to have its spot. Next up, 3 copies of Spirit of the Fallwind. This is a great card for flip monsters in Prediction Princess. It's a 4-star monster that when you normal summon it, adds a flip monster from the deck to your hand. So you use that to grab whichever one you need. Pot of the Forbidden if you need the tribute for Terra Tray, or just need one to summon. Or you can summon Apprentice Piper if you're ready to get one on board for your Pharaonic Guardian Sphinx. So whichever one you need in your hand, Spirit of the Fallwind gets it for you. And then last, I am playing 3 copies of Prediction Princess Coin Rama, the only other usable Prediction Princess monster that allows you to summon a level 3 or higher flip monster from your deck when it's flipped up for its effect, but you can only use Prediction Princess effects for the rest of this turn. Important to note that this cannot grab Apprentice Piper, but it can grab Pot of the Forbidden, which is a 3,000 defense wall. It can grab another copy of itself. So that gives you a lot of options of getting things out of the deck, and we need a target to search with the ritual spell, so 3 Coin Rama it is. And that is it for our monster lineup. Moving on to our spell cards, I am playing 3 copies of the Prediction Ritual. This is the ritual card that allows us to summon Prediction Princess Terra Tray. It also has the extra effect of when this card is in your graveyard, except the turn that it is sent there, you can banish it to add a Prediction Princess monster from your deck to your hand. So you can use that to add Terra Tray if you need a second one, or to add a Coin Rama just to thin your deck and have another monster you can get on board. And then next, we are playing 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. So this is a spell card that allows you to add a ritual spell card from your deck to your hand, and then a monster that's name is specifically listed on that ritual spell from either your deck or graveyard. So this one card will get you both Terra Tray and its ritual, and for that we definitely want to be seeing this card. Next up, I am playing 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. Definitely a deck where I would like to see an extra card, and Pot of Extravagance can give me that extra card by banishing random cards from my extra deck. If I banish, I can banish between 3 and 6, and I get to draw a card for every 3 that I did banish randomly. And the only drawback is that I have to play it at the start of the main phase, and I can't do any more drawing effects during the turn that that card is played. Next up, I am playing 2 copies of Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. While there is no Tenyi or non-effect monsters in this deck. This card does have the interaction of when your opponent special summons an effect monster while you control a non-effect or face-down monsters, which in this deck we will have plenty of face-down monsters. So I will play Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi in order to turn that into drawing cards. Interaction I am quite a big fan of. And then last in our spells, I am playing 2 copies of Book of Moon. You know, we have flip effect monsters, so the ability to flip a card face down is very beneficial. Book of Moon has a ton of versatility too, to disrupt opponents' plays, you know, mess with timings, plenty of great uses, and if it gets our flip monster down or our Sphinx face down so that we can trigger it on our turn, it will definitely be a large payoff. And that is it for the spell card. Next, we have some trap cards to go over. I am playing 3 copies of Storming Mirror Force. This isn't a very high power level deck, so I play Storming Mirror Force as a big power play to punish an opponent. Now, of course, battle traps are always vulnerable, but, you know, I gotta play that risk or reward with this kind of deck, and I find that it pays off enough that I'm still playing it in this casual dueling environment. In general, I would always say for these trap cards that you see in these section, always be adjusting your trap cards to be cards that will be beneficial in your dueling environment against decks that you expect to be facing. So Storming is still doing work for me, so I am playing it at 3 copies. Next up, to deal with some back row when it becomes a problem, I play 2 copies of Heavy Storm Duster. That allows me to destroy up to 2 spell or trap cards, which can give me positive card advantage. And in exchange, I just simply can't use my battle phase. If you play it during your opponent's turn, no big deal. If you play it during your turn, sometimes it's not always a big deal. So, definitely like having that. And because I am playing battle traps that can be popped, I am playing 2 copies of Waking the Dragon. This is a set card that if it's destroyed or just removed from the field by an opponent's card, it's either in the graveyard or it's banished. I can special summon any monster from my deck or extra deck. So I have loaded my extra deck with monsters that will benefit from this Waking the Dragon. And that is it for the main deck. Lastly, this deck isn't built much to go into the extra deck, so I've opted instead to go more all in on the Waking the Dragon package, so I will just go over those Waking the Dragon targets. I am playing 1 copy of Last Warrior from Another Planet. This is one that if your opponent pops Waking the Dragon, they don't have any monsters, you can summon Last Warrior, then neither player can be summoning monsters. And that can end the game in certain matchups. Next, I got a Naturia Exterio. This card is for negating spell and trap cards. If you're up against a matchup where their spell and trap cards are crucial and they can't do anything without activating them, well, Naturia Exterio will shut that matchup down. Next up, I am playing a copy of Yugioh Mathmech Final Sigma. This is a card that is a 3,000 attack monster, and when it's in the extra monster zone, it is unaffected by card effects. So that makes it pretty hard for an opponent to deal with. Also, when it battles an opponent's monster and does battle damage, it does double battle damage, which is pretty cool. Next, the better version of Final Sigma, I play Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. This is a 3,500 attack monster that's unaffected by card effects. That is hard for a lot of decks to deal with. Sometimes just wins you the game outright. And then last, I am playing Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon, a 4,500 attack monster that cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Not as good as being unaffected, but still sometimes good enough, and for the trade-off of 4,500 attack. Also has the ability to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it instead of attacking once per turn. So these are my Waking the Dragon targets. I play all of these at 3 of, so that I don't, I have something in the extra deck left over after banishing cards from Pot of Extravagance. And that is it. So that is it for the deck profile. Very fun, silly power play card to pull out in, for fun duels. The Guardian Sphinx. It's very fun to whip entire fields back into the hand or back into the deck. So I'm very pleased that they've given this card a new support card. I'm very happy to be playing it and using it and having a lot of fun with it. So if you want to play Guardian Sphinx, I hope you try it out yourself. So anyway, that is it for today's deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in as always. I will catch you all later.